I'm Bill,
I'm Chase.
and this is Wildcat Chat, the home of all things Kentucky basketball. Welcome back to Wildcat Chat, episode 3. I'm Bill.
I'm Chase.
And we're here for another great episode here. I got a full slate. So it is, we just beat Louisville. How you feeling? Beat Louisville. Hate Louisville
easy.
week. Yeah,
Easy.
Great win. I was actually at both games last week, and it was an insane week of time. Just a fantastic time. Really fun. So let's start with the icebreaker like we do every episode. So this week's icebreaker, it's one-on-one matchups of prior UK players.
All right.
Who would win. So I'm going to have you go first.
All right. I like this. All right. So we got first one is Antoine Walker versus DeMarcus Cousins. So I've watched probably 0.2 seconds of Antoine Walker playing ever, and I've watched a ton of Boogie. I think he's going to get his number out and he's going to say, call me after he dunks on him. So what's going to happen is he's going to pad his stats like he did every game. Easiest double-double ever because he's just going to throw shots at the backboard and just catch them. That's how he got his double-doubles all the time. And then he'll start making them out. Say he gets we playing like 21?
Yeah, 21. Got win by 2.
Yes.
Got win by 2.
They both played in an era where big men didn't shoot threes. I just think Boogie. I'm biased because I started a little later.
That's fair. Quick funny story. Antoine Walker saw a rather large black man in all black walk by me pre-Louisville game. And I was like, that looks like a player. I have no idea who it is. And then for the Y, he comes out and is the Y. And I was like, that's Antoine Walker. He has to be 350 pounds now. He has not aged fantastically, but
he was part of that team.
He was.
That's really cool.
He was,
because we were trying to figure out who the Y would be at a big game like that, and of course it was
Antoine, which is my wife's favorite player of all time. So
really?
She was super excited.
That's really cool.
All right, let me get in here and see what we got.
I'm sorry, Sarah, for not picking him immediately.
She would have picked Walker, and so would have I, by the way.
All right.
And I've got Jamal Mashburn, which also you wouldn't know.
The name is more
versus Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. That would be a really good matchup. I would have to go Jamal. Jamal was
because if you go by Shai Gilgeous like during college, it took him most of the season to
click. Cal had that a lot, right?
Yeah.
A lot of guys that kind of didn't really get going until NBA. That's all he cared about anyway, right? Was the NBA?
How was his Jamal's threes? That was
good. He was a driver.
He was a driver. Okay.
So you would think of Clena Azubuike. Remember Azubuike? Yeah. Think of him, but like 3 times as good as Clena.
Azubuike keeps me up more than any other UK player in terms of something that didn't happen. And one of these days, I'm sure we're going to talk about it, but I get PTSD from that player more than any other
his
player.
Decisions to not shoot before the shot clock goes out. He did that a lot. Quick story.
The Patrick Sparks, Michigan State, crazy shot to go into overtime against Michigan State, and that was the Elite Eight of 2004. Oh, yeah. We had the ball tied in the end of first overtime, and Azubuike had it and dribbled around and never put up a shot.
I know.
And then they lost
time
in double.
Expired.
And I
remember.
It's
exactly
20 years.
What went to my head.
20-year anniversary of me just getting cold sweats at night, being like Azubuike.
There's some other good one-on-ones in there. Maybe that'll transition into episode 4. So we had 2 games last week. We're gonna run through Colgate really quick for sake of time. That Colgate game, I was expecting a major beatdown. We were up 17-0, so I was already like, how early can I leave? And it's not awkward where it's like, can I just get out of here? And I took my son, and he was all excited, and he's like, "Dad, we're gonna win by 70." And then we were up, I think, 2 at halftime. So,
and then down 3 at the beginning of the second half.
So what's your breakdown there? What happened in Colgate real quick, and then we'll jump into L's down.
Yeah. So at the 17-0 start was the time I thought it was okay for me and my wife to go grocery shopping. And by the time we got home, it was halftime, and I was like, "Excuse me, up 2?
Yeah. What
happened?"
Yeah.
So I watched the second half I started taking notes immediately, and what I noticed is we had some guys that couldn't make threes.
Yeah.
Started finding their shot. they started going on a spree in the second half. It was really cool to see. Oweh was a big part of it. He shot the last three, but there was like 3 threes in a row.
Yep.
But what I noticed was off ball to man-on-man defense, Brea was abysmal. Williams, again, we might be talking about him later. It just seemed like a hint of the Clemson trap type mentality of they weren't getting the loose balls. They were
coasting a little bit.
There's sometimes that Amari Williams will see a rebound and he will just go for it almost like he's doing the robot on a dance move where someone else is running. And it's just like, take a second bit of effort to, I know you don't want to dive, but then there was, I'm trying to look at it. We had
Jackson Robinson was 4 of 14.
Yeah.
Did not have his best game.
He had a hangover game. Usually that happens after a crazy
2 of 11
game.
from 3.
I saw that Butler they were holding, and at the time I was like, man, I really hope they're holding him for Louisville because if he's going to have a lingering injury all year, and we're watching how this. But I think Oweh had his rebound game. He had this drive behind the back layup. That was amazing. His driving makes me just so happy every time I watch. I thought it was a great tune-up game. Yeah, getting ready to Louisville because
didn't take it for granted.
Those types of when you see everyone talk about playing in rep from an opposing team and how it's going to be every team Super Bowl was the mentality that Cal always talked about. It just seems like the rim turns into a kid's swimming pool in terms of size,
especially from the 3-point land.
Other team's 3-point shot, because I just think the want and desire to beat us is infectious. And I loved how they found, again, another halftime adjustment and then they went into a super cold slump. But that's how it happens. Most teams, when you're playing, that's like pristine first round of the tournament. They use up all of their juice to go up 12 and then foul trouble. Like they have their small teams.
What's crazy to me is this is the game. I hate to keep picking on Cal. We're going to do it for at least another 8 months, maybe 8 years. This is the game. This is the kind of games that Cal would lose. Is these teams we should just hammer by 30, and somehow they claw back into it, and they just kind of don't figure out a way to win.
And I want to ask you, as someone who went there, the thing that most people talked about needing Cal to go was because in those mentalities, he didn't have the fans to keep. Yeah. Did you feel the atmosphere was, here we go again, or like, no, we got this, got this?
Colgate was the first game this year, and I was really interested to see if I could feel the difference, and it just felt. It felt more refreshing. A lot of the fans were having more fun with each other.
Well,
the pregame for both games was absolutely amazing. The music was great. They do the Chicago Bulls. They do that now, which really amps me up. Different atmosphere. In the Louisville game, they had Bruce Buffer come out on the big jumbo.
Okay.
And he said, it's time, whole, it's time. Like, Buffer did that and then did the ring, which was just everybody's got goosebumps. We're here. Cool. I feel like I don't know if Cal was controlling what they were doing, but I feel like it's better.
That's good. Because what I saw on Twitter was they never had that here we go again type vibe.
Didn't feel like that.
And that's
we got
great.
A little uncomfortable when they took the lead. It kind of got a little ho-hum, but now they wheeled them back in, and they definitely did the Louisville game. So Louisville.
Let's go to it,
yeah, let's get into it. So it just felt different being there. Everybody was really pumped. Everybody was in their seats with 15 minutes to go before the game started, which I thought was cool. Typically with games, I've been to a lot of games, and people kind of trickling in at the start of the game. Everybody was in their seat, ready to go. You could feel the energy. The players were fist bumping, high-fiving, jumping up and down early before the game started. So you could just tell it meant more. So back and forth. I thought my breakdown of the game, honestly, is I thought Louisville played really hard. And I think they were thin, right? 7, 8 guys. Yeah. They played really hard. I think Hepburn is a stud. I think Edwards was probably the player of the game. He looked phenomenal for them. That big, tall, white center, Waterman, he has that typical Louisville, don't really like the guy. You want him to kind of not say get hurt, but maybe get hurt, get him out of the game. he was a guy that was driving me crazy with some of his stuff. The antics too. I don't think they were showing on TV because it was during timeouts. These two teams hated each other. I mean, it was a hate.
They respected the rivalry.
They did. They took the call of the rivalry well, and there was some chippiness going on early and often, and then obviously the fight ish late in the game.
Yeah.
So
our lifeline to the team from meeting Garrison, he was at the receiving end of a lot of like ref conspiracies from all these Louisville fans. And if you watch the replays, the dude did not do anything wrong. One time, Butler, I think he was making his 9th or 10th straight shot, and Garrison turns around to like give him one of
and
these.
He actually punched a guy.
And there's
basically
a kid right in front of him, but it was like 2 feet shorter than him. It's like, that's just unfortunate. And
it's not his fault. He's 7 feet.
That's why the refs didn't call it. Was very incidental. It was, and then they talk about he stomped on the player on the ground as he was trying to go for the ball. When he was swiping for the ball and they got the foul because they hit him in the cheek, he stood up and a guy pulled him forward while another teammate was pushing him forward, and he's just trying to stand up. Like, again, if it comes out that he was trying to do some Christian Laettner-esque stuff,
no chance.
Like,
nothing was intentional there.
I'm not a fan of that, but it
let's
did not
settle
look
down.
intentional. It's just like,
let's settle down.
We have what is?
Hey, by the way, no more Christian Laettner ever again. We don't talk to that guy.
Am I not allowed to say?
Those are 2 words that I just don't even.
Okay.
Yeah, beep that out.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
Yeah, sorry. Keep going.
I apologize.
I wanted to say though, so I had my little infamous 5 minutes of fame in this game. Somehow I made it to ESPN. They were on that break of the fight, and they were going through. Is there
any technicals?
Forever.
It took forever. Yes.
Oh, we were just like,
what is
happening?
Because I was watching it in a place with spotty internet.
Yeah.
And by the time I got the internet back, I did not lose any time on the game.
Maybe that's why they did it.
Yeah. But I missed you. And it made me sad, but someone recorded it, which was nice.
So they finally came back, and I forget his name. Hadley pushed Garrison in the back to get him off and into their bench.
Yeah.
To me, that's you got to be a flagrant there. He shoved him. So when they came back and said no flagrant foul, I literally was just like, oh my gosh. And they threw me up on, which was hilarious. And I got like 80 texts and everybody was going bananas. And I literally turned my phone. I didn't even know what was happening. I was like, I can't respond to anybody.
Yeah.
Let me watch this game. So that was nuts. At the end of the day, Lamont Butler he kind of took over. It's nice to have Lamont back. I think it shows what this team can be with him.
One of the best. Well, I mean, his foul shooting is someone who's like, I don't know how a point guard can be in the 60% range and free throw percentage, but that is what gives me PTSD with Cal. So I want my, like, if you need to take some time, but I also know that this guy is probably gassed out of his mind, not playing 2.5 games, and is on another level shooting. He had made 7 threes all 9 games, or I think he only played 8 before this, and he made 7 in one game. It was incredible. But my guy, every time I have to bring it up, at the end of the game in the stretch, Owe did the things he needed to do and got me.
That steal with the dunk was incredible. He had an incredible dunk. I think it was like they go up 8-6. Up really early. It
was early.
Right hand jam.
So what happened was, it was to get their largest lead very early on. They went up 12. He did just like a little small cut in it's like the Red Sea. The lane just parted.
I think
no one guarded him, and people's backs were to the lane, and he's just like so excitedly goes up for it.
So a new thing I'm introducing this week, we're going to do a breakdown on a clip, and I think I have that part of the clip. So we've talked a lot about Amare. We've got this Garrison and Amari Williams back and forth of who's our starting center, right? To me, if you look at the times, in Colgate, Amari played 24 minutes and 16 for Brandon. It was flipped this game. And Garrison closed this game where Amari's getting a start. So there's some good and some bad of this guy. I'm seeing a lot of good. I'm sure you are too, but I'm seeing a lot of bad. And I think Pope saw a lot of bad in this game. He couldn't keep up with the pace because he's a tall, lumbering. I think his effort, like we were talking about before we went live, I think his effort is not there all the time. And Pope's a guy where it's like, You got to give me effort.
As opposed to there was a time in the beginning of the second half where Garrison jumped out of bounds to save a ball, hit it off a Louisville player, and
it's
just
on here.
It's
on here.
All right,
yeah,
just
it's on
immediate
here.
passion afterwards.
So I'm going to run through this before I get there, though. I wanted to just show you. So Pat Kelsey, we talked about him with Charleston. He was Chris Mack's assistant, by the way. We never got into that at Xavier. He cried the whole game. I know people know.
You can see it when you're watching.
People that I know in my same circles of my business stuff know Pat and love Pat. Ooh, I was turned off by Pat. He every whistle when they would go to commercials, right, of the kitty litter scoop thing you're looking to buy for your cats or whatever, he would cry to the ref. Like, he wouldn't even talk to his team. He'd walk over and cry. I'm like, bro.
The big one was, and again, we had Pat Adams as a ref, and there's just what I saw on Twitter is basically this. If you know a ref's name, it's because he's bad. Like, as UK players, like when you see certain players. So he got really upset, other Pat Kelsey, because someone was going to call an obvious fifth foul on one of their starters, and they're very depleted already. Then Pat Adams comes out of nowhere and says it's someone else's guy.
Yeah.
And then they went to the monitors, and of course it wasn't him, but Pat, of course, was just like, well, he said it was him.
My Aunt Laura, who's a huge UK fan, she hurt her ankle on that call because she was so mad. She was jumping up and down, and I think she, broke something. She's on crutches now. So, and she texted me during the game, and she's like, "We have a new Doug Shows. We have a new what's the guy there? The Higgins guy." She's like, "Oh, it's Pat Adams now." So, anyway, I love the moxie of this team. So before I get into more, I wanted to show you what Lamont Butler did making fun of Pat Kelsey. Oh, yeah. So if we can just play this real quick. Yeah. So Lamont here, right before halftime, goes in. Do you remember this play?
Yes.
Watch what he does.
Yep.
He's calling travel, and look what he does. Do you see what he does there?
Because they called travel the possession before that, and he had a perfect Euro step. It was not a travel.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it.
So he drives down. If you watch Kelsey crying, watch it one more time. Watch Kelsey after the play. Travel, and look what Lamont does to him. Stares at him and does it back. I love that kind of stuff. Let him talk. Let him.
I also love during that fight, just like the last time there was a little scuffle, Mark Pope comes in out of nowhere like he's Batman, just swoops in,
grabs.
And there's just one screenshot that someone took of that where Pat is next to him and looks like his child, because he's so much shorter than Mark.
Well, little brother, right? Little brother. Welcome to the party, little brother.
I was giggling. There was a lot of good memes and things coming out of this game.
So this first clip, I got a couple clips of Amari, because I really think that North's team to win the championship, which isn't that crazy to even say. I think we were just kind of wanting like a Sweet 16 appearance. That's how I felt with all these players. Can we somehow sneak in?
I wanted a winning record, above 500.
And now it's like, can we win? And I think that Amari needs to get his crap together. And so I want to show you some of these clips, the good and the bad.
Okay.
So I'm going to go over some of the issues that he's had. So this 225 mark, it's got like 3 or 4 different back and forths that are very interesting. So right here, if you freeze this here, so Amari, where he's
of the key,
he's going to run that. So the point that would happen there is that this isn't what Cal was doing a while ago. It's a lot what our team does. Why did Bray get right to the hole? Because there was nobody in the paint.
Mm-hmm.
When you pull him all the way up, who usually runs our cut position or the center point, you called it, now they have to. So Bray just went right to the hoop there. So that's the good of Amari, right?
Yeah.
So then let's watch the next play. The next play.
He also, even in that play, I was a little frustrated.
What were you frustrated by? We just got an open dunk.
Well, not that one. No, I meant the Bray, because he watched it happen when his defender. If it didn't go in, there's no way he could get a rebound. So
he's not trying.
That's
fair.
That's a great point. My dad, every time I played, this was my Achilles heel. And I would just hear, it doesn't matter what venue, I would hear my dad in the stands. Did you buy a ticket? Did you buy a ticket? Then stop watching. So that was the thing I had to learn. I had to practice.
Yeah.
And it's that mentality that that was what I had to work on. So whenever I see that, it's like, you didn't buy a ticket. You're in the game. Don't watch the shot.
Yep.
Get in there. You're a 7-footer.
Yeah.
Your job. The zoom action is great.
Something I love about him, though, is that he has the ability to play the zoom action with the pass.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of centers don't recognize it. He does. So that's
His
some goods.
passing's great. We talk about dribbling, not so much.
No.
He
now
freaks
watch,
me out every time.
This is a bad. Watch watch what he does here. He's in the middle here. They made it, which is fine, but watch how he boxes out Waterman.
Yeah, watched.
Just literally didn't even put a body on him.
It's watching and just literally your hands are feelers, seeing. Yeah. Hopefully, there's no one there where you should go straight to your man.
Doesn't even try. That was really bad. But then he comes back and look at that pass.
No, his passing is excellent.
So that's a lot of the good. I threw one little bad in there, but there was a lot. So I'm like, okay, and that was early in the game. So I'm like, okay, Mares came to play today. And then he didn't even play most of the second half, and I'll show you why. Just absolute horrible defense. And he's, by the way, he's known for his defense. So some of this defense is just really, really poor. So I'm going to move it here so we can get into it real quick. I need a mouse next time. All right, so we're not going to do that right here. So you see that?
Oh, he
couldn't keep up.
Like a
couldn't
fiddle.
Keep up. Played like a fiddle. And then the next one, this is when he got benched. How'd you feel about that? What'd you see there?
No.
What'd you see?
No court awareness. You obviously see that there was a switch that left a wide open man.
Yeah.
And you're just staring at your guy who's not even trying to screen you to get there. It's just like you guys are just standing.
And I bet in his defense on a one-on-one, he's going to say, well, Butler and Robinson, they're all in the same spot here. Butler's got 26 at this point. The dude's balling out. You need to step up, bro. Yeah. What are you doing? So right there, right, this guy Hepper comes on top. Look where what are we doing?
We got two men.
He just got burnt the last 2 plays ago, and then he just did this, and then he gets pulled out.
And you can tell where Butler is. Butler is sitting there assuming the switch is happening. Basically, like, I got him.
Right.
Why are you still standing there? So everyone is not perfect. You talked about someone like Oscar Shibwe.
Oh, he was awful on pick and roll. Awful on pick and roll.
So, and he also did not call out screens.
Yeah.
Wheeler probably had 3 concussions that year.
Because of Oscar. But Oscar didn't speak English. Is that fair?
No, but you can at least say
he actually was saying screen. He was just like saying it to where Wheeler. And Wheeler's hair was covering up his ears too.
There are aspects that it could be. But,
would you ever name your child Severe?
No.
Okay, but go on. I didn't like Severe Wheeler, just so you know.
I hated him when he played against us. I thought he got a bad rap, and I think injuries hurt Cohen great. Yeah. I think injuries, playing through injuries sometimes makes it even harder to root for a guy, even though he's showing his moxie. Which is why I'm appreciative of Butler, of Mark. Like, let's keep you out. Yeah. We should beat Colgate, so you can have this performance against Louisville.
Yeah.
Some of my takeaways. So I watched this game in 2 different car rides, at a Texas Roadhouse and at the parking lot of the Cincinnati Zoo. So I did the best I could during family time.
Keep going.
I was watching the Crosstown Shootout right before an escape room. We got out in 44 minutes, which was great. But I had to have someone tell me how it ended because UC was only up 2, and they're like, "We're going in. Turn your phones off." And I was like, "This has been the worst day of rivalry."
This place is a prison.
But from still being able to watch most of it through all of that crazy, my takeaways were very similar. Garrison is showing me more and more that he's got. It's almost like, I don't even know if you want to call it a hustle problem. It's almost like a heart problem. Like, I think Williams just needs, if Amari can just get into the game.
Can I show you Garrison's hustle problem you're talking about? This was like my favorite play of the game. This was just out.
Yeah.
Great box out. Yeah. I mean,
and again, after getting that tackle,
love it.
Yeah, I was like, oh, please don't yell into the player's face for whatever
scream.
the new
rip the guy's head off. Would you imagine? Just, oh my God. And like Mortal Kombat comes across.
These hypotheticals you're giving me this week are great.
Awesome. That'd be a great finishing move.
Yes.
So. All right. So can we do an L's down one more time just to get it out there?
Listen to. So I have some stats. If we had more time, I was going to talk to a lot of Crosstown Shootout as well because I wanted to ask you. This is the
was
one
there another
question.
game on
there
that
was
day?
There was a lot of other games. We're facing Ohio State coming up. It's the only game we play this week. I just turned over
Ohio State. Excuse you.
I just measly turned on the Auburn game and they were down 32 at the time. So I was like, so we'll go back to that.
Yeah.
They have played UC Xavier 92 matchups over the course of only, I think it started in the 40s or 50s.
92 too many.
Yeah. Well, Louisville, UK started in the 1910s, but they didn't play forever, and they've only played 57 times, and that includes the tournament appearances.
Interesting.
So I'm glad it's annual now.
Yeah.
But my question was, UC Xavier, it's UC's up 12.
Yeah.
It's like a 52-40. It's kind of more evenly matched, but they've never played in the tournament. Do you think it's more important a rivalry just as a regular season thing, or do you think it's even more important if they
it adds an extra element to it?
I agree
for sure.
So UK Louisville, they've played 6 times.
Yeah. What is the?
It's 4-2.
4-2.
Last 2 times it was the 2021 and
2014.
2012. It was the Final Four.
Yeah.
And then the 2014.
Yeah. And I was at that game. It was a great game.
With was it Aaron Harrison?
Yep.
Which Harrison bro.
Yeah.
It was so much fun. So 57 matchups. What do you think the record is?
32-25. Kentucky.
It's 40-17.
Yeah, it's not even a rivalry.
40-17.
I mean, I was thinking like 51-1.
In the last 17 games. So once it hit 40. So 17, you're thinking they played twice in the tournament. So the last 15 years, almost basically Cal's tenure with a little overlap. Louisville is 3-14. They like Barstool always has their own collegiate like accounts. They were showing some crazy last second 3-pointer to win the game, and that Louisville won. And someone was like, "Man, what VHS did you have to blow off the dust to?" And I had to look.
Was it in black and white?
So the shorts were down to their shins. So I was like, "Well, we know what era that is." And then I just had to look on the sideline, and it was a Billy Gillespie year. 2008 or 2000. I was like, if you have to go that far back.
Christian Leitner and Billy Gillespie. That's another one we just don't.
If I have one more bleep, you have to kick me out.
Those are the lost years, we'll call this.
Yes. Oh, no.
Was this before or after Rick Pitino paid off somebody to get rid of that little thing? Never mind. We're not going to get into that. But 3 stacks of high society. Pitino paid. Porcinos, don't eat there because apparently the tables are dirty from Rick. But we like Rick. So, you don't like Rick. So you make that joke. We didn't like Rick at the time.
Listen, I was told he was a villain. Yeah. I never saw the villainous. But, so what was Pitino known for? Press.
Other than getting women pregnant?
Oh, gosh.
I didn't go there. He did. I didn't do it. Allegedly.
What he was known for before it became a flagrant foul was he just had all his players flopping like crazy. And it drove me
Josh Allen of the NCAA.
Oh, my gosh. So I always saw him as swarming because he's basically saying, like, hey, cheat. Yeah. You're going to get more fouls called.
It's okay to cheat if you win, by the way.
I don't.
I'm just kidding. Let's get into this week. Wait. Player of the week, real quick.
Well, I mean, it has to be. It has to be Butler, 1,000%.
If it's not Butler, you got to give it to somebody. I agree.
Oh, my gosh.
That turnover and dunk was just,
He missed the front end of a 1-and-1. But then immediately did that steal. Yeah. And like that dunk is just like, even it was on the radio. So whenever UK's Twitter account does the highlights, they do the radio calls. And immediately color commentators like, all right, well that made up for it because I was getting very frustrated. There's at one point we missed 4 straight free throws. That part. And
when he dunked that in, by the way, the entire place went, away, and I was like, oh my gosh,
that's great.
This is great.
His athleticism, his just, you can feel it when he's not on the court.
At one point, Butler and Oweh weren't on the court, and I don't know the numbers like Pope would know. It was ugly.
We
were screaming, get him in.
You gotta give him breathers, but it's like
off. You got to do it opposite.
But I will have to say, I have to applaud their effort. Louisville
they played great
with and again,
that's as good as they can play, and they still lost.
Yes,
sorry about that.
because Butler had game of his life again. Kiddie pool sized rim for some of these dudes with hands in their face. Like
Hepburn made a shot from like 37 feet. And it was absolutely incredible. He was standing outside of Rupp. I thought he was out of bounds. They gave it to him.
So, but what I saw, and this is what I found impressive the most, and this is what we will need to win, especially you got your Zoom offense. Yeah. You got big guys that are shooting threes. We're up at the top of the key. You're not going to, or a lot of guys that are shooting threes. You're not going to get a lot of offensive rebounds, right? Unless it's a crazy bounce.
Yeah.
That was the worst offensive rebounding performance that Louisville's had all year. And we ended on like a 77% defensive rebounding. Like that, sometimes it doesn't show.
Are you turning to Mark Pope on me?
No,
percentages.
I had some of the stats. I wanted to bring
impressive.
Them up. The rebounding is got to be key.
We talked about it.
And sometimes, and I do believe that we would have beat Clemson by 14 if we just gotten half of that of Josh Gad's rebounds.
So we got one game this week. That's it. It's not till Saturday, so I'm in a state of mourning for 5 days. I might just watch this game like
over
12 times.
Hey, I like it.
Let's just watch all 40.
I'm gonna watch the Brandon Knight 2011 game again because I missed when Ohio State when they
mattered.
Yes, when Thad Matta left Xavier to go there, when they had good coaches.
This is a weird pool you just did watching that game. Do you know who shot the last shot in that game and missed a 3-pointer by them? It was Diebler.
It was close.
It was Diebler. Their coach now is
really
Diebler.
Okay.
Yeah. So he's the intern last year. He's now the coach.
Well, that's cool.
I don't like that guy.
And it looked good when you shot it because I remember
he was like Brea this year. He didn't miss. So they're 6-4. They just got it was like an actual
it was
like
38,
public
almost a 40 point
hanging.
Loss. Yes.
Auburn destroyed
Which
them.
shows us how
good Auburn is. Johnny Broome is like the best player. He's a stud.
The SEC conference schedule is going to be crazy.
They scored 21 in that first half. Did you know that? Ohio State scored 21 in that half. It could be 50 to 21.
I'm glad we're getting that extra time to rest.
Yep.
But we can't have it be a.
One thing I did want to call out on their team.
Is that a neutral court?
It is it's in Madison Square Garden.
That's the Garden one. Yep.
Okay. Bruce Thornton's their best player. He was supposed to go to NBA last year. He came back. So he's a stud. Okay. He will be a guy that could go for 25. Here's a guy that sounded like Collinsworth. Now here's a guy. Michi Johnson played at South Carolina last year. I absolutely hate this guy. He's like the little energy bunny that could. He kind of played like Severe Wheeler, who also hated it, but he was a Kentucky guy, so I kind of liked him. He transferred here, and he's been playing pretty good too. So he's a guy that, do you know who Michi is? Do you know anything?
You said South Carolina?
Yeah.
Yeah, I probably
remember because he's going to drive you crazy. And then big news, they have Aaron Bradshaw, who was on our team last year, who's been, do you know his story?
Not the full, because a lot of it was like
it's hush hush, but it's all internal
gambling. Like that was
from what I heard. It was from my circles.
Yeah,
from what I've heard, it's been an internal domestic dispute.
Yeah, stuff like that. Yeah, but he was off the team for a while, and he came back this week. I don't think he showed up Saturday because I don't think anyone did. But
I hope we domestically dispute him on the court and just beat the heck out of him.
Of the three, like the big touted 3 centers that were 7 feet or more last year, he was the one I was most excited about.
And he was
getting going, and he was not.
He just wasn't good. He's not going to be good Saturday. Yeah. And how much are we going to win by?
I'm hoping Williams, especially if he's guarding Bradshaw, put a body on him, double. We win by 15 or more.
I'm going 22.
22?
22.
All right, well.
In Madison Square Garden.
All right, so I'll do the under. I'll do 19.
Favorite Nick of all time?
Emmanuel Quigley, because that was
when the
Knicks was UK players with
Joyce
Randall and wasn't Knox on the team for a half second?
Knox was there for like 4 minutes or something.
So it was like, I know these players. NBA frustrates me.
Do you know that they're at an all-time low right now of viewership?
Just the NBA in general?
Is that because LeBron sucks, or what do you think?
It could be.
Rest in peace, Kobe.
No, so Wemby, they had this he did a finger roll from almost the 3-point line because he's 7 foot, but he took 9 steps. So they're like, look at this top 10 play.
And Pat Kelsey somewhere
I was just like, NBA
would be. Butler's
NBA would be great if they actually called anything. It's just some of the stuff that these.
I watch
players are
NBA
allowed
in
to
the
do.
playoffs only.
Okay,
So.
that makes sense. I stopped. It was Shaq and Kobe. It was around that time.
You know what we do though? We do watch UK games, every single one, unless we're stuck in a car.
I did.
In a van down by the river.
In a van down by the river.
That's
okay,
it.
Matt. Thanks,
That's
man.
it, Matt. That's all I got this week.
I'm loving your
Anything
references.
else?
You got some good pools. Mortal Kombat and SNL circa 1996.
Favorite Mortal Kombat player?
Sub-Zero, without a doubt.
I'm going to go Scorpion. Get over here! And that's it. I'm Bill.
And I don't know where I'm at right now.
See you next week.
Woo!